Family members of two victims spoke at the sentencing hearing of a man accused in what has become known as the Lizard Lick shootings in Johnston County.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I just hit top about the video and was gonna hop right into it. So when you be seeing this, or if you're watching on the day of, it's a Monday. So on Mondays now we'll be doing NC stories. So this one is actually a NC story, but it's a little national. But today we'll be talking about the Lizard Lick shooting. So yes, when I say Lizard Lick, I am referring to the reality show, the Tone show that was very, very popular when it was on the air. So if you hadn't known, the Lizard Lick guy, the star of the show, his son was killed in a shooting a couple years ago. The reason we'll be talking about this today is because one of the the final person charged in the shooting has been sentenced. So that's why we're talking about today. But before we get into all that, basically talk about, so what ended up happening is this happened in about the Johnston County area. He ended up, I'll get in there in a couple minutes, but it seems like an altercation started in Willow Springs. They were at, or in somewhere in the area. Basically, they were at a balloon release for a friend that had already passed away. I guess they got into an altercation with the people that we now know are the shooters and have got convicted. And so they leave the balloon releaser, and then they end up going to a Sheetz, or they're on the way to Sheetz, and two people now that we know are Nathaniel Jackson and Joshua Stewart. So the shooters were Nathaniel Jackson and Joshua Stewart. They then shot 20 shots into the car, and they fatally killed Alex Shipley, who is the son of the Lizard Lick guy, and they paralyzed a Sophie Hagen. But that was in 2022. Now that we, it's been a couple years later, we have seen some convictions and, some things fast forward with the case. So we're going to get into that. So before the most recent person who got sentenced, who is Jonathan Stewart, or Joshua Stewart, not Jonathan Stewart, the running back, Nathan or Nathaniel Jackson received a 40-year prison sentence after he was found guilty of first-degree murder, attempted murder, 2 counts of felony discharging a firearm into a vehicle, inflicting serious injury, among others. They arrested a Kevon Nicholson. Nicholson was arrested in June in connection with the case. I don't think he was the actual shooter, so that's why he got arrested so late. They also arrested a Cassidy Lorraine Hunter, who was also arrested and charged with accessory after the fact. Authorities were holding Hunter at Johnston County Jail on $1 million bond. Diana Sarah Jackson was charged with obstruction of justice related to the shooting investigation. Authorities were holding her at the Johnston County Jail on a $1,000 bond. So. They have now, like I said, the most recent one is Joshua Stewart. So Joshua Stewart, as of Friday, has now been sentenced between 33 and 38 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to a second-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. His charges, very much, I wish there was more backstory. I'm trying to understand some of the backstory behind it. So, like I said, I wish there was more backstory on at least the altercation they got into it. I don't know what the altercation was exactly, but they have described Nathaniel Jackson and Joshua Stewart as gang members, and multiple sources have described them as that, as well as it is confirmed by the police that Alex Shipley was the intended target. So it just makes me wonder what exactly he did, or like if they knew each other prior to it. But it's definitely a sad case. My heart really, obviously goes out to the parents of and the family members of Alex, because he died, but also Sophie, because just you had nothing to do with it. Like I said, Sophie had nothing to do with it, and you get paralyzed from it, and you need lifelong help every day. That's sad as hell, but. Yeah, now they have seen. I guess Kelvon Nicholson, I don't even know how to say his name right, would be the last person sentenced in this case since he just got arrested. The other girls are being held on bond. So we don't know exactly what Nicholson's charges are, but the other girls who are basically charged with aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice, obviously, like I said, they've been held on bond. So we'll see what they're sentencing in. But when we get updates on that, we'll talk about it then. But that's all I gotta say though. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I did TikTok Bonneville, and we out.